So let's say someone unfortunately has a cancer journey, a cancer story, and they're surviving and thriving. And, they're thinking about all the great resources that this nonprofit provided them, whether it was housing, transportation. It's like, oh my goodness, if I wish I had the money to just leave. I want to do something. Well, this is how you can do it. And we're not asking you to give of today, but whether it's that 10% or whatever amount that goes back to make sure that somebody else is taking care of the same. So you're really leaving a legacy, not only for your family, but for the community. You're actually helping the community.
I bet you would never think that planned giving to an organization that you care about can change an organization, a family, even a group of people for generations, right? We never think about it that way. But that's how intentional that we need to be with what we have to make sure the people coming behind us can also benefit too. So my name is Jini Thornton, and I am the host of the Thank Me Later show, of course, with me, your host, Jini Thornton, where we help you master your money and transform your life. And what we're talking about today is planned giving. And I'm so excited to have my BFF here, who happens to be a really big deal, Executive Vice President.
Yeah.
Kimberly Allen Jackson, big deal, Executive Vice President at the American Cancer Society. And you have spent a good part of your career in the large nonprofit space.
I have. It's been over 20 years.
Oh my God, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So executive in the nonprofit space, wife, 4 adult children, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's crazy.
4.
Right?
Yes.
And just one of the most giving people that I know.
Aww.
And just really you have this very unique awareness of what it takes to have impact and change within a community and within an organization. So thank you for being here today.
Pleasure.
Super excited talking about this. Because normally, Kim, when we talk about this, I feel like particularly Black people, we glaze over.
Right.
Because it's like, this ain't got nothing to do with me.
Right.
Like what?
When it really does.
Yeah. And we're like, I think Black people think this is for white folks. Or it's for people who have like a whole lot of money. So let's just kind of set the table here. Oh, first, I'm getting all excited to talk about this. If you are here for the first time, thank you. Thank you for listening. If you are back again, thank you. And it's important to us that you like and you share and you subscribe. But please share this information because, again, if this may or may not pertain to you, I promise you know somebody that does. Want to make sure that we are getting this amazing information out to folks. So, Kim, let's just kind of level set what planned giving is. Because again, I know a lot of people are like, girl, this ain't got nothing to do with me. What is it?
What planned giving? So in the fundraising world, there are different ways that you can contribute. So for example, with the American Cancer Society, this month you see that we have a bunch of Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. So the community comes together and you may raise money. You may decide to walk and you ask your friends to contribute. You may raise $100. You may raise $50. And so there's galas. So people go to galas and typically they give at a higher level. But planned giving is really exactly what the words say. Planned giving, planning to give. And it's about where you want to leave a legacy. So giving a gift, you don't have the disposable income, or maybe you do, but the gift does not activate until after you pass away.
And so obviously that's different than like reoccurring giving. Like
Correct.
If, I want to give to an organization and something is taken out of my paycheck every time I get paid, or again, if I raise money, I do the walk,
Yes.
I go to the gala,
That's
whatever.
money today.
I write the check.
Yes.
Okay. And so why do you think there's such a disconnect? I think the data says that African Americans, only about 6% of African Americans actually do planned giving. Why are we so far behind?
Well, first of all, the idea of leaving money behind, let's just start there.
Right.
Okay. We have not had a history of having money to leave behind. But fortunately, we're at a place where we can. But I will say, and I'll share that later, my grandfather, who never learned to read, he left money. So it can be done at any level. But typically when people think of plan giving or estate planning, those are the words that you hear. You're usually thinking about the super wealthy.
Yeah.
And
Oprah.
leaving millions of dollars, et cetera. But we don't think about it, again, back to not, and that's really the main reason. It's thought of for the white wealthy. It's not thought of for the African-American community.
And help me with the mindset of people who are stuck on, forget the race, that it doesn't pertain to them. And they're thinking about, again, the Oprahs or the whomevers have to be writing these massive checks. So for the majority of us, working people, how are we able to do this? How are we able to afford to do this?
Wow. So the great thing is, I feel like, honestly, I think it's more so designed for Black people or people who don't have disposable income, because you don't have to have it now. I'm not asking you to give up your money today. I'm not asking you to go ask your friends for money today. What we're saying is, when you depart from here, we're all going to go at some point, will you consider leaving a little bit of that through life insurance? I'm sure you'll go through all the different ways that you can.
Right.
Will you leave some of that for an organization that is most meaningful to you?
Tell the story about your grandfather. I've never heard this before.
Yeah. So my grandpa Buddy from Elberton, Georgia, he never learned to read or write. But that didn't stop him. He had a farm, had a little hustle. Actually, he used to loan money out. I found that out a couple of weeks ago from my dad at the back door, and he was rough.
Right.
He was not a rough guy. He was super sweet. But the point was, he was serious about when you paid it back. So
he can manage
found a way,
money.
right?
Yes.
And he, on top of having his farm, he was also janitor at the school, and he would save a quarter, 25 cents of his paycheck every month to put away to buy books for little children who didn't have books to read.
Isn't that something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I really appreciate you telling that story, because you'll hear the stories of, I remember, I don't know if it was like in Mississippi or Alabama, there was a older woman, I think she was like a maid, who ended up leaving thousands of dollars to whatever college in the state. And things like that happen pretty regularly. And then we're just caught off guard. I just need people to know that that's not unusual.
It's not unusual.
It's just about whatever you have. He took 25 cents.
25 cents. And we have since continued it on as a family and are about to establish a foundation to continue on his work. So he left a legacy, and it started with 25 cents.
Isn't that interesting? Yep. So how can people give? Because I know you talked about life insurance, you talked about leave a will, and let's be honest, a lot of our people don't even have wills.
True.
So if we know that's an option, we could say, oh, we want American Cancer Society, North Carolina A&T, whatever, who means something to you, you can leave some money. How else is it easy to leave money? It's
very easy, because I'm sure if a number of individuals today check their email from their school, hey, you want to consider giving a planned gift, and you don't know what the heck it means, but this is what it means. And so it's very easy, because quite frankly, once you make the decision that you want to give, and we'll talk a little bit more about how to figure that out. It's not complicated, but it's actually fun to do, because you're leaving a legacy to something that is most meaningful to you. But honestly, just call the organization, and they will work with you on identifying how you want to leave the gift. And some organizations I really appreciate, they want to make sure that you have a legacy for yourself. Like, okay, before we talk about thank you for considering giving to our organization, we first want to make sure that you have a will to begin with.
Right.
So we have people that come to us all the time and say, I want to leave money, and they don't have a will. Well, the good thing is, great, we'll help you to, number one, establish a will to make sure your family is good and you are good. And then we'll talk about how you can contribute and fill out the right paperwork so that, again, once you pass away, then the money goes to the organization.
One thing that I can say, Kim, that is certainly very easy for us culturally is for us to understand is life insurance.
Right.
Black folk typically don't have some life insurance.
That's right.
And one
That's right.
thing that I learned from Judge Kenya Johnson, she's the Fulton County probate judge, a fellow soror of ours too. And she always says, you know, just think about the 10%. Like 90 can go to your family, but can you at least carve out, you know, and that 10% could be $5,000, $500, whatever that number is. But just for us to get used to thinking that way,
Right.
and how much of a difference that could make.
And it makes a difference. So even, you know, if we talk about how we started working together.
Sure.
And, you know, we're talking about, I'm in the health nonprofit space, right? So there's a health legacy. But so let's say someone unfortunately has a cancer story, and they're surviving and thriving. And, you know, they're thinking about all the great resources that this nonprofit provided them, whether it was housing, transportation. It's like, oh my goodness, if I wish I had the money to just leave, I want to do something. Well, this is how you can do it. And we're not asking you to give of today, but whether it's that 10% or whatever amount that goes back to make sure that somebody else is taking care of the same. So you're really leaving a legacy, not only for your family, but for the community. You're actually helping the community.
Yeah.
So depending on what resonates with you, whether it's literacy, and the good thing is you can adjust it along the way. You can make changes, you can add A&T, for example, or the Cancer Society, or Habitat for Humanity, or any foundation.
And so what do you think about people who say this? I hear this a lot too. Again, you know, we're both alumni of North Carolina A&T. You walk around the campus and you're like, oh, they're doing really good over here. You know, you can look at the American Cancer Society or Habitat, and you think these organizations are just thriving. You know, people are like, they should be giving me some money, you know, based on how well they appear to be doing.
Right.
So when people have that mindset, what do you say to that?
Yeah, there's never enough. We may do a great job of fundraising. You see us out there, but you know, like the differences of the corporation, that the net proceeds go as bonuses, et cetera, right? And nonprofit, that money goes back to the community. It goes back to research in our case, or patient support. So it may be that we're quote unquote doing well, but more than likely that need still exists.
Right.
So, yeah, they may be doing well, but what that means is they're being responsible with donor dollars.
Right.
And that's critical.
And to me, I just think about it funding the future. You know, I think maybe also being an accountant, you just know everything costs so much. So you may be looking again at a school, a church, or whatever. How do you want to make sure that they are continuing in the future? And pick the thing that you care about.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of things. Pick the thing that has some meaning to you. So,
But I do wish, now that you bring up HBCUs, when you think about the sustainability of HBCUs, or actually the lack thereof. I mean, we'd look at St. Aug that was on the edge looking over.
For sure.
And it took a large donation to come through. But honestly, if more alumni would give, it doesn't have to be a large gift. It can be $10 a month. When you go to homecoming, don't complain. Right. Spend that money on the campus, because it's going back to help with the sustainability of the HBCU. So,
yeah, I don't know the statistic fully, but I think it's less than 10% of alumni give.
yes.
And so you think about it, if that just doubled, and again, it doesn't have to be thousands of dollars. If you gave them $50 a year, $100 a year, $10 a year, the difference that could make for a school.
Yeah, just calculate, if you think about it, if every graduate of North Carolina A&T that is living, we're kind of going, gave
$20.
$20.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, millions of dollars, and what that could mean for
Right.
scholarships and any other thing that you care about. Yes. So let's talk about the misconceptions of plan giving, because I know a lot of people are like, ooh, that's hard, that's complicated, whatever they're thinking. What common misconceptions do you run into?
The main misconception is, well, I'd say for Black folk, it's, I don't have the millions.
Right.
Number one. Number two, I want to give, but I don't want to seem like I don't know what I'm supposed to do in the process. And I'll tell you, those that have money don't know the process either.
Right.
So, but that's where you have the professionals at said organization that can help navigate, guide you through. Absolutely.
Right. one thing that we didn't talk about is your journey to ACS. Like, why are you there? Like, what is about your personal story why you felt it was important to serve in this organization?
Actually, it was divine intervention. I didn't really seek it out necessarily, but I had taken time after giving birth to my daughter, had my own company that provided on-site massage service, and I missed being around people. And so when Hot Jobs was the way to look for jobs. So I was like, let me start looking for a job. I think I'm ready to go back. And around that time, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. And so I went through the interview process, and here I am. My background is finance, inventory control, operations, going to nonprofit. And I thought, well, first of all, they're not going to pay me. But okay, whatever, I'll just get out there. And that is not true. And so ended up getting the job. And then unfortunately, she did lose her battle to colorectal cancer. But then it became a sense of purpose because I was able to work on the policy that now is part of why colonoscopies are part of your wellness treatment, right? And so then it's like, wow, I can have a purposeful job where the bottom line is ending cancer as we know it for everyone. Count me in.
Right. I love that. And that's one thing that you and I have in common as friends. Not only did both of our mothers pass away from cancer, but the same cancer too.
Yeah.
Yep. In a pretty close period of time too.
Sure.
So I think that definitely, you know,
I know
it solidified our relationship and gave us, you know, my mother passed away first and able to help kind of guide you on your journey, you know, as your mother was ill. So we're going to transition to a call. We actually have a call this episode.
Okay.
We have Ms. D from Houston, who's part of our Thank Me Later community, who had a question for you today, Kimberly.
Oh, okay.
Hi, my name is Dee. I'm considering including charitable donations in my will. What kind of factors would be most important that I should be considering when I'm making that donation?
Well, that's a good question. And thank you for asking that. I would say the main thing is what cause is important to you that you have passion around. That is the main thing. It is a personal choice, a personal decision. It could be helping to support service dogs. That is the first main step that you need to do is what really speaks to you. Because once you give that planned gift, you're really a part of that organization. So what do you want to be a big part of? That's the first thing that you would need to consider. And honestly, after that, pick up the phone and call said organization and tell them that you're considering, and they can talk you through all the options. Because the great thing is you could also restrict where within the organization that you want. I love dogs. So let's say that it's a service dog organization and you want it specifically to help veterans. And so you may say, yes, I want to leave a planned gift that's focused on providing service dogs for veterans. So that is honestly the hardest part of the process, because after that, when you call the organization, then they can talk through to figure out what makes the most sense for you.
So I know a lot of times, Kim, when people think about doing something, they're also thinking about what do I get in return? So in addition to doing good, are there any other benefits? So I'm like, oh, if I'm going to leave something, do I have any other benefits for me?
I mean, well, the benefit, I mean, honestly, it's about giving. So the benefit is being able to give if that's what you're getting at.
Right.
And so, like I said, you're part of that organization. So the benefit is you are now part of the family. So you will be invited to different things. You get up-to-date information on it. You really get, honestly, the first information. So for us at the Cancer Society, we make sure that those that leave gifts, especially planned gifts, they are the first to hear about a cutting edge discovery, for example, so that they know that, wow, it makes sense that I made this gift, because we want you to keep it there because you can change it. And that's the thing I want you to know, that once you make that decision, you can change it. Of course, we would prefer that you not, but that's, you can change it. But also we want to stay connected to you so that you know what you're contributing to in the long run, and really serve as an advocate for that organization.
Yeah. And for people who are considering making gifts while they're still alive, just know that, there certainly are some tax benefits to that based on how much you give. So if you're looking for something in return, there's no shame in that either. You can be very intentional about that. One thing, Kim, that I was just thinking about, when we did Black Women Well the first year, we had somebody who was getting her documents done, and she had this question. She was like, hey, I don't have any kids. If my mother predeceases me, she's like, I think I'm going to leave everything to Howard. She graduated from Howard. She said,
that's a shame. It should be AT, but okay.
I know.
We won't go there.
We need that money instead. But I really appreciated the fact that she was very intentional about giving to some place that meant so much to her.
Yeah.
That had so much impact on her life. And then just making sure that someone coming behind her would do the same thing. But she was like, can I do that? I'm like, girl, of course you can do that.
How fun is that? Empowering, right? It's not like, oh my gosh, I'm getting ready to die. I don't want to talk about it. Black people don't talk about it or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, I can make a difference later on. There's a sense of, you stand taller, the excitement. I can do that. Let me think about it. So it just changes your perspective on planned giving.
Right. And again, I want to just encourage everybody, you do not have to be rich. You don't have to be wealthy. All you have to do is just have a plan. And I assure you that, again, even if you have $100,000 in life insurance, if you take $10,000, $5,000 and give it to an organization that you care about, your family will be good with the rest, and you all could leave a legacy and involve your family in the conversation too. I think it's really important.
But sometimes you may not want to, right? It's a personal decision. But the one thing I'll say too, if you work for a company, listen, congratulations on graduating, and you did not get through the school by yourself. Somebody had to give money to establish the scholarship. It starts with you. So when you are completing all of your paperwork and you're clicking that button on insurance and how much, even at that time, you can let them know, I want to leave a planned gift. And you don't have to pick an amount. You can pick a percentage, right? You can say, okay, I'll give 2%. It doesn't have to be 10%.
Right.
It can be like, listen, struggling, I got some student loans, or I'll just use 1% for now. Absolutely. But y'all, that 1% means everything. So imagine you're a graduate, you said 1%, and it's 50 years from now, and 1% or you've upped it. That's significant. So don't let that amount or that percentage stop you.
Right.
But it can be significant because you won't need to spend the money anymore. So
I do appreciate it for someone who's benefited. I went to college on a scholarship because somebody looked out, and we're funding for students like me, to have an opportunity, and literally it changed my life forever. Yeah. That's for sure. So before we wrap up, I just wanted you to just share some information about ACS, the American Cancer Society, because I think people don't understand the benefits. Like if someone is ill, like you can get help with transportation.
Absolutely.
Or, if someone has been diagnosed, you should really lean in and get the most current information on treatments, all of the things. So please share a little bit about ACS.
Yeah. So one thing I like to say is we want to end cancer as we know it for everyone. So everyone is very important to us because it means everyone. And we want to make sure that we are addressing any barriers to people being able to prevent, detect, or treat cancer. And our specific areas are around advocacy. A lot of people are like, what is that? So a policy that says, well, colonoscopies must now be part of your wellness visit. That took a whole body of people meeting with congressmen and senators for them to pass. That's annually going and asking about federal law, Medicaid expansion to ensure folks are insured. That's an arm of what we do. Medicaid expansion just passed in North Carolina last year. That means 600,000 people will have coverage. And so that's a big deal. But we were the main people that were able to do it. I mean, we led that effort. So that's the advocacy arm. Patient support. So if someone is diagnosed, we have Hope Lodges, or 31 across the country. Think of a Ronald McDonald House for adults. You and a caregiver can stay. Beautiful, relaxing space that you can go back and forth to your treatment. We provide transportation. So all you have to do is focus on your treatment and getting better. Transportation, if you can't get back and forth, one of the main reasons why people don't complete treatment, and this specifically for Black people, is I got to spend money, I don't have time, etc. So we have volunteers that will drive you back and forth to treatment happily and make sure that you complete your treatment. And so the other thing we have is a 1-800 number. It is available 24/7. People can call. So for instance, during the disaster right now of the hurricane, cancer doesn't stop.
Right.
People are missing treatment, et cetera.
Didn't
So
think
we
about
are
that.
still working on that. How do we move people out of the Hope Lodges or wherever to make sure that they can continue their treatment? Those are the things that were happening. And the last thing is research. We invest in research to make sure that, and specifically there's one right now for Black women that's focused on Black women and research around breast cancer, because the treatment for us can be different from someone else based on our genetics, right? So investing the millions and millions of dollars into the research, and then also researchers, and making sure that there are diverse researchers, and giving the millions of dollars to the HBCUs, to all the schools, to make sure that there are Black and brown researchers or physicians or nurses that are able to treat patients. So that's just a little bit of it.
So can you just share like the website and the 800 number for people who want to get some more information about the American Cancer Society?
Yeah. So 1-800-227-2345 or 1-800-ACS-2345. And you can visit cancer.org. We have resources on there. The reading level, which I have to say this is very important, is at a 6th grade reading level. So if you need any information at all as a caregiver, meaning someone just was diagnosed, call us. We can send it to you, but it's also at your fingertips 24 hours a day. It's available in Braille, large print, you name it. We want everyone to have a fair shot at beating cancer.
Thank you for sharing that
You're
information. I appreciate that. So I have a question for you.
Ooh.
So finish this sentence. If you blank, you will thank me later.
If you give, you will thank me later.
If you give. All right. Give. And please be intentional about your giving. You know, no matter what organization is important to you. I want you all to make that a normal part of your life and your financial plan. So just a few resources. Certainly you can check out the Thank Me Later community. On the American Cancer Society's website, there's a planned giving tab if you want to just kind of learn a little bit more. So you can go to cancer.org and check out their planned giving. And then don't forget, like Kim said, please talk to your life insurance agent. Talk to, if you have a lawyer who's done your will, like lean into your resources. Don't make this hard. Don't run. If you love your school or whatever organization, reach out to them and let them know what you're thinking about. So we thank you for tuning into this episode of Thank Me Later Show with me, your host, Jini Thornton. And you can certainly continue to follow us at the thankmelatorshow.com and follow me on social media at TML Money, at Jini Thornton. And we will see you all next episode. Thank you for tuning in.
2/3 of Americans do not have a will in place. The American Cancer Society's Estate and Gift Planning Department works with individuals and organizations across the country to share our estate and asset services.
I am honored to welcome all of you. My name is Jini Thornton, and I am the founder and executive director of Black Women Will. And isn't this just such a beautiful day and an occasion today?
The American Cancer Society's Estate and Gift Planning team is here today to provide free gift planning information and resources to help attendees of Black Women Will make informed decisions.
Please know that what you're doing today is a hard conversation, but you will feel so good when you leave here because you know that you are focusing on the legacy you're leaving and planting that seed for generations to come.
What I can say that these women will walk away with is peace of mind, that those that they love won't have to worry about what their intentions were.
And so if you can have those conversations ahead of time, it's one of the greatest blessings that you can give to your family. to think about making a difference for the next generation. We had a hand in being able to make those type of decisions today.
It's always a conversation that I have to ease into with most people. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to think about what that planning means for them. We ask them to change their perspective and not think of it as death, but think of it as leaving a legacy and what you want your legacy to be. How do you want your legacy to look? What's important? What do we want to do?
But one thing that people don't necessarily always think about is the idea of making a planned gift. Anytime you're given a gift, there's also an opportunity to give a gift for an organization that was important to you. So today we're here introducing them to the American Cancer Society to think about making planned gifts so that you have an opportunity to invest in the research, invest in the advocacy and patient support and services to ensure that we are really ending cancer as we know it for everyone.
Ministry costs money. It costs money to have impact. And I think a lot of times people are expecting big corporations to be the ones writing the check. But really, we don't understand as individuals, we have a lot of power, financial power to impact change. And no matter what your assets are, you can certainly leave a portion of that to an amazing organization like ACS.
If someone wanted to donate anything to any charitable organization like the American Cancer Society, there's so many different ways that you can make charity part of your estate plan.
Bequests, charitable trusts, life insurance, IRA beneficiary designations. These options and more will help you create a special connection with the society.
The Estate and Gift Planning Department at the American Cancer Society now has 40 directors across the United States working closely with individuals who want to leave a legacy gift to the American Cancer Society.
When someone is kind enough and generous enough to remember us in their estate plan, then we view that gift from a stewardship perspective. So then when it comes time to manage it, we take all care to ensure that that gift gets to where it's supposed to go, and that is into the mission.